uniting the races with truth instead of dividing them with lies. We're also rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. Welcome to the second hour of the show today. Thank you so much for being with me. We're here 3 hours a day. You can get involved by calling 888-775-3773, 888-77-JESSE. You know, there are a lot of Christians around the country and even around the world, because I talk to them around the world, who are suffering from depression, the lack of faith, and they want to believe in God, and they believe that they do believe in God, but they don't understand why do they feel these things if they believe in God. I have with me Pastor Joey St. Vincent, podcast host, co-founder of BadChristian Media, and author of a brand new book, Fundamentalist: Stories of a Mentally Ill, Obsessive-Compulsive, Legalistic Youth Group Kid turned pastor. And I'm Skyping with him. I want to talk to him, very interesting book. I want to talk to him about faith, depression, his life, and view of the world. Pastor Joey, good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me on to represent sick people today. I appreciate it.
Well,
how's your day going, man?
All is well. Are you dancing on the ceiling? Are you on cloud nine now that we have a brand new president, a real man in the White House?
Oh, wow. No, I don't. I guess I don't. I mean, he's the last person I would think of as a real man for sure. So no dancing, but no pessimism, no negativity. You know, I'm keeping my head up.
Yeah. Did you think was Barack Obama a real man?
I mean, I guess I don't really know enough about him personally, but the little stuff that I know about him as a family man, I would say yes. From what the media reveals, I mean, what we've seen of Donald Trump, and just, you know, how he talks about females, and, you know, how he kind of put his daughters on display and not a really kind fashion. No, I don't think of him as a real man at all.
What did he say about female that's not manly?
I mean, do you have like a filter that you want to have on this show? Like,
would you just say grab? Are you talking about the grabbing thing?
Yeah. That, and just a lot of the other things, as far as just, you know, he's just got a history of womanizing, and, you know, I know a lot of people do, but I definitely sympathize with people that have a hard time with him being our president, for sure.
So, have you, when you were hanging around with your buddies, you look like you're about 30 years old or so. You're in your 30s, right?
39. I'm almost leaving this thing, man. Almost leaving the 30s.
So when you, have you ever been hanging out with your buddies and you guys were talking about women and what you've done and what you like to do? You've never said anything like that?
If I did, it was definitely in a way different tone. So I would say, in the tone that Donald Trump took, no, I have not talked like that.
But how do you know his tone?
Because it was kind of in a very showy, show off. Look at me, I'm macho. I get to, you know, do anything I want with women and that sort of thing. So yes, I have been very vulgar. Yes, I have been very perverted. But it's typically in the context of not seriously thinking about doing those sorts of things. Now, maybe I'm an exception. Maybe that makes me seem like some sort of an angel. Hopefully it doesn't. But no, I have not talked about women in that way.
And so when you were saying that you were just not serious, but you were speaking that way and what you like to do to women and what happened and blah, 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 but yours were nice. Why do you think Donald Trump, he was talking to another guy,
right.
And guys tend to brag like that because it's all ego. why would you judge his any differently than your own?
Well, I mean, I think you just nailed it. I think what you said as far as him talking to the guys in like a braggy sort of fashion, that's the distinction that I'm talking about is, I have not talked in that sort of way, like in a braggy sort of fashion. I think that's what you're asking.
Right. So
sure.
when you were speaking that way with your buddies, you were not bragging?
No, what I'm saying is I have never said anything in a similar fashion as Donald Trump. No, I have not said, hey, I'm going to grab so-and-so in that area. No, I've never said anything like that. Now, have I looked at porn? Yes. And that is not a good thing. Have I lusted after women? Yes. So last thing I'm wanting to do is make myself to be some sort of an angel. But no, like I think I have a decent track record when it comes to communicating with other guys, some sort of a decency in not saying I'm going to go after women and grab them in private areas. So
did you vote for Trump?
Let me say this. I'll say this though. I do think that if we all had everything that was said behind closed doors recorded, none of us would be fit to be president. So I'm not saying anything in regards to this saying Donald Trump should not be a president because of him saying this. You just said he was a real man, and I'm saying that's not what I think of when I think of a real man, because I think that a real man would definitely make a big deal about retracting and apologizing. I mean, he had some sort of a flippant, yeah, I wish I wouldn't have said that. Of course he wished he wouldn't have said that. It made him look horrible. Of course he didn't. Of course he wished he wouldn't have said that. But I would have loved to have heard him say, hey, I wish that I wouldn't have said that. It was demeaning to women. I wish I could take it back.
But
I don't think of women that way.
Why would he apologize? He didn't say it to women. He was talking in private to another guy. Had he said that to a woman and she felt offended, then he should apologize. But he didn't say it to women. He said it to a guy. Should he apologize to the guy? Or are you saying that?
Well, if you because he's president of the United States, first of all, I mean he's got the highest.
He wasn't president when he said that.
What I'm saying is he is now, so he's got a very high level of responsibility. I mean, it's the same concept with like smaller bloggers, for instance. I mean, it's crazy if someone goes online and they have a decent following and a lot of people are listening to them and a lot of people are reading what they write, and then they say something stupid. And then like other Christians are offended that other people are going off on them saying, are you kidding me? You really did say that? Oh, you can't talk about your brother. You can't say negative things. Well, yes, if they've built themselves up a huge following and a huge social platform, then they need to be responsible for stuff. So, yes, Trump worked himself up. He was very hardworking. He was very smart how he did it, but he became president of the United States. So that comes with an added measure of responsibility. And so, of course, he should come right out and apologize to women.
But he wasn't president when he said it. He was talking to one person in private. Now, if you're saying he should apologize to that one person, I understand it. Because it was one person in private. If someone found out that you said something to one person in private, and now you're running for president, should they force you to apologize to the world? You didn't say it to the world.
Well, like I said, I mean, I think that's it's a valid point you're making, but the reason why I would disagree is because he's president of the United States.
But
so
he
it's one of
wasn't
those
president
things.
when he said it, when it happened.
But to me, that doesn't matter. I mean, I'm pastor of a church, but if something major came out about me that was before I took on a pastor, that would be kind of a slap in the face to people that have been a part of my church, that have been listening to what I'm saying. I've said, hey, sorry, not apologizing about that. Nope, that happened before I was pastor. So
that's right.
No,
but then
I take
in that case, no one can run for pastor. No one can run for president because we all have sinned. And then, so if you are going to be responsible for what happened in the past after you become pastor, then that doesn't seem, there's no love in that.
Well,
because everyone who would be judging you for something that happened prior to becoming pastor, they are as guilty as you are. Because if you look at their life, they have some stuff that happened too.
Right, but you're kind of moving the goalposts on the argument. I'm not disagreeing with what you just said. All I'm saying is take responsibility and say you're sorry. Like that, I mean, that's a major distinction. If you say something that demeaning about women and then you're president of the United States, I just said that a second ago. I said, yeah, I'm not saying that this necessarily disqualifies him from being president. All I'm saying is that you're president. Do the right thing. I'm sorry.
He did take responsibility for it. He said he shouldn't have said it. He was sorry. And then he moved on.
I'll go on the record and say it wasn't good enough for me then.
Wow. So you're judging him.
No, I'm not judging him. I'm saying I would love for him to apologize, like in a deeper, more meaningful way.
But
I cannot believe, I'm surprised that we're even having a debate on whether or not Donald Trump is a real man. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Did you vote for Trump?
I actually voted independent. So as many people say, I threw that vote away, boy.
Did you vote for Barack Obama?
I didn't vote then.
So you didn't vote either time for Barack Obama, right?
No, I didn't.
Good.
Looking back, maybe I should have.
No. You did the right thing. Let me take a break, Pastor Joey. When I come back, I want to talk about your book.
Oh, man, this was fun, though, but cool.
All right.
That sounds good.
Back in a moment. I am Skyping with Pastor Joey Svensson. He's a podcast host, co-founder of BadChristian Media, and author of the brand new book, Fundamentalist.
Yes, sir.
One other quick thing so you didn't accept Donald Trump's apology, right?
I would say that I think most people, given his track record with a lot of other stuff, most people would have a hard time accepting the genuineness of it. I mean, I'm not the type of person that says, hey, this is not our president. I refuse to accept this. No, he's our president. I'm going to pray for him. I'm going to support him. I really will. But to see him as like a real man, I would just be very hesitant personally. Did
you accept his apology?
As genuine? No. So I guess I did not accept his apology.
That's terrible.
I'm a terrible person.
Because that seems very judgmental. If a person apologizes, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said it, blah, blah, blah. God accepted. Why shouldn't you accept it? You want to crawl on his knees or beg for a week? Why not just, it would be like you, are you married?
Yeah, I am.
It would be like you offending your wife and she said, oh, you offended me. And you say, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I shouldn't have done that. And it's sincere, but she said, no, you're not sincere. I'm not going to accept that. I want more. You would think, well, I just apologize. Why? What else more do you want? That seems judgmental to me that you didn't accept his apology.
Well, my wife doesn't talk like that, but let me say this. I think it's similar to, I was listening to one of your commercials a little bit earlier, and you were talking about how many people's salvation is not genuine because they just said words and they didn't really mean it. I think you said it wasn't spiritual conversion. It was just, I don't know. You may remember, but it's the same thing. So you're basically judging whether or not someone is really accepting salvation. I would say I'm just doing the same thing. I'm saying, yeah, sorry. And you were pretty abrasive about that too. And I don't disrespect that. I see where you're coming from. In no way am I even disagreeing with what you're saying but I would say what I'm doing is at a much lower level. I'm critiquing whether or not his apology was sincere. You're critiquing whether or not someone's asking of salvation is sincere. To me, there's no difference. Well, if anything, you're definitely making a higher claim.
Well, those are two different comparisons. The reason I know the difference between salvation and non-salvation is that when a person is truly born again, when they have returned to their original state of being, they have no anger in their hearts.
Right.
And so it's what they do. They become doers in the right way rather than just say it. And so a lot of people go down and they accept Jesus, but their hearts have not changed. They're still angry. They're destructive. They're dishonest. Nothing changed. When you truly are return to God, something changed about you.
Yeah, but are you saying that people don't get angry anymore when they accept Christ?
No, they don't.
Jesus then was never saved, he flipped tables. Anger is not a bad thing. Anger is an emotion. It's what we do with it. The Bible says, "Don't sin in your anger." It doesn't say not to get angry. That, right?
Was Jesus angry when he flipped the table?
Of course.
How do you know that?
People don't yell and flip tables if they're not angry.
How do you know that Jesus was angry when he flipped the table?
Well, how do you know that Jesus was in pain when they were nailing
a nail?
No. It's just common sense.
You said Jesus was angry when he flipped the table. So how do you know that?
How do I know that?
Yes.
Because I'm a human being. It's just common sense. That to me would be on the same par as how do I know whether or not Jesus was in pain when they're nailing him to a tree? You just are.
So are you saying that if you walk into a room such as he did, or wherever he was, and you see something that is out of order, it goes against what the Father is about, you can't flip the table and take care of that without being angry?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying
how do you know Jesus didn't do that without the anger?
I didn't say that either. I'm just saying I think anybody in their right mind, if they read that, they know Jesus is mad. So you're saying Jesus? Seriously though. So let's back up. You're saying anger is a sin?
Anger is not of God. Anger is of your father, the devil. Do you have anger?
I've been angry. I would be. You wouldn't be angry. Do you have any children?
No. Do you have anger? Answer that first.
Oh, okay, sure. Yes, I get angry. I get angry at child molesters. I get angry at my wife sometimes. I get angry at my kids. I get angry when terrorists, blow up innocent people. I get angry at sometimes when people lie. And anger is not bad. Now, do I sin in my anger? Yes, that's bad. But anger, no, that's not a sin.
And so you're called by God to be a pastor?
Am I? Yeah.
You are called by God to be a pastor?
Yes.
And does God have anger?
Does God have anger? Yes. He wouldn't be a loving father if he did not.
That's amazing. And so does he have the same type of anger that you have?
No, he has. My anger is tainted with sin often. His anger is not.
And so your anger is sin.
Sometimes, not all the time.
So how are you representing the Father who is not of sin if you still have anger and it is sin, when we all know that Satan's nature is a sinful nature? That's why we must be born again, turn away from him, back to the Father, to a non-sinful nature.
So you're saying that once someone's born again, they don't sin? I just want to make sure I'm understanding you clearly.
Let me go back to the anger. Is that love in anger?
Yes. Oftentimes, yes. Oftentimes, no.
So when you're yelling at your children and your wife, they feel love from you?
Well, that's one example of no. Like I said, sometimes no. If someone molests my child and I go very angry, do my kids feel loved? Yes. If a guy makes a sexual pass at my wife in public and God forbid even touches her butt and I get angry, does she feel loved? Yes. Does she feel unloved if I do not get angry? Yes. When
you're yelling at your children with anger, are you traumatizing them knowing that their father is yelling at them with anger?
Yes. Sometimes I am traumatizing my kids. Yes.
And how do you feel about that?
I don't like it. I don't like any of the times when I sin.
And so do you know that anger is the nature of the prince of darkness, that it's the nature of Satan and not of God?
No, that's not true, actually.
And why you say it's not true?
Well, I've already come up with a bunch of examples.
So let me ask this way then.
There's righteous anger. There's righteous anger.
We agree that God's nature is love, right? God is love.
Yes, and sometimes love gets pissed, man.
And in him there is no hatred, right?
No, I don't agree with that.
You think hatred is in that God has hatred?
I think God hates sin. He hates death. He hates bad things that happen to people because he is love.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is like mind-blowing to me to hear you say this.
You don't think God is angry at evil people?
Not in the anger that you have. You have the anger of your father, the devil.
Yeah, we agree with that. I don't. Maybe there's some technical difficulties. I'm not sure if you're hearing everything, but
I hear everything. Let me take a break. Back in a moment.
All right.
Okay, folks, welcome back. I'm Jesse Peterson. Thank you so much for being with me. You can get involved by calling 888-7753-773. 888-77-JESSE. Heard around the world by everybody and their mama. And I do appreciate it. I'm talking to Pastor Joey. Pastor Joey, how do you know your feelings towards sin is the same feeling that God has towards sin as far as hating sin? How do you know your feeling is the same as his?
Oh, I don't think it is. I don't think there's too much that's super similar with how God feels and I feel, just because I don't think I'll fully be able to grasp that until heaven, just because of all of the fallen nature that I'm dealing with. But I do want to read something here in Mark 3, because I was just looking for an example, because I'm really at a loss for how you and I can be on just such different pages. It says that Jesus looked around at them with anger, grieved at their hardness of heart, and said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." He stretched it out, and his hand was restored. The Pharisees went out and immediately held counsel with the Herodians against him, how to destroy him. So, I mean, right here it says that Jesus looked around at them with anger. So what am I missing?
But the only thing you just read was the opinion of Mark. Mark was interpreting what he thought he saw.
Gotcha. Okay. I just thought maybe we both believed in the Gospels. All right.
Let me ask. So, do you believe Satan has anger?
Yes.
Let me ask. When you were growing up, you were a young Christian growing up, right?
Yes, sir.
And you experienced depression, obsessive-compulsive disorder. You went through all of those things, right?
Yes, sir.
What caused you to go to those things? Why did you become that way?
I would say a combination of many things. I would trace it back originally just to this fallen world. I think there's a lot of bad stuff in the world that ultimately Jesus has rescued us from, but we're not seeing that rescue plan in its totality until we get the heck out of here. So that's my starting place. And if you want to put the fall of this fallen world on anybody's shoulder, it would be, who we read as the enemy in the Bible. So you could put that squarely on his shoulders. But with that being the foundation, building on that, you have people inheriting stuff from their parents. You have in genetics. You have bad stuff that people bring onto themselves. So, yeah, all sorts of stuff. I don't know if that answers your question. I just don't think it's maybe as simple as an answer.
Were you raised by your father and mother?
Yes, sir.
They were both together?
Uh-huh.
And who were you closest to, your father or your mother?
Oh, man, that's a tough one. I think maybe growing up, my mom.
Your mother. And why weren't you closer to your father?
I was close to my father. I just had, if I had to pick one as far as me being closer, that's a tough one. But I would say my mom. But my dad and I were close. I had good parents.
And did you resent your father for anything?
No, not at all.
You have no anger at all. You had and have no anger at all toward your father.
Have I been angry at him before? Yeah, I've been angry, but I don't have anger towards my father. No,
How
sir.
about your mother?
No, don't have anger towards her.
And so they were perfect parents?
Oh, no way. Gosh, no.
Were there at any time you were angry at them?
Yes, I already said that.
And
yes.
How did you overcome that anger?
I mean, there's been various times. So I would say sometimes maybe it just took me asking God to give me a heart of forgiveness, knowing that, my gosh, they're humans just like me. And then other times it probably just took time. But I can't really think of anything like super disastrous. Like, some people have to figure out how to forgive a physically abusive father, an alcoholic mother that left, or sexual abuse. But I didn't have to encounter any of that stuff.
Did you ever go to them and apologize for being angry toward them?
Sure, sometimes. But I'm not sure if every time.
Pastor, how can people get your book?
They can go to fundamentalistpastor.com. Yeah, and I go into a lot of the crazy OCD, depression, and a lot of my legalistic background growing up in a church, and just how it warped my brain pretty good. And I think that I'm coming out of it slowly but surely, but still a lot of work to do.
And so you still go through that sometimes?
I have some spells of it, yes, sir. I think that I'm more healed than not. But a lot of the very deep, bizarre OCD thinking, probably some stuff that's not even appropriate to talk about on your show, like just super bizarre thoughts. Yeah, I've moved beyond that. But some of the depression and then some more moderate OCD, I still deal with, actually.
Are you on medication?
Yes. Yes, I sure am.
And what type of medication are you on?
I'm on Wellbutrin. That's one.
And what's that for?
Well, I can go into all the details. I was initially on Zoloft, and Zoloft helped me with my depression. But what the psychiatrist said was oftentimes OCD can trigger some downward spirals. So they brought in some Wellbutrin to assist the Zoloft, and also Zoloft can mess with your libido, and that's not good for a young dude that likes sex. So the Wellbutrin helped with that as well. But I'm not on Zoloft anymore because science says that oftentimes antidepressants kind of putter out over years, and I was on it for a good 7 years. So now I'm on something that I can't pronounce. It's called like fluvoxamine or something like that.
How many different type of pills are you taking now?
Just those two.
That's so too.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, I'm on blood pressure medicine too. I'm a mess, man. I'm on. My dad has high blood pressure, and I exercise. I eat well, but it's just one of those things that it's a part of my genes, man. So the doctor was encouraging, though. He said that some people take blood pressure medicine and it still doesn't do the trick. So at least the blood pressure medicine works. So yeah, that's 3 pills total.
You are a pastor. Have you been born again of God? Have you returned to the Father?
Yes, many times. But I would say, in the classic storyline of evangelical Christianity, the first turning towards Him would have been as a child, for sure. I'll never forget reading Romans and just taking Paul's words very literal, and just how he said that salvation is not something that you have to work for, it's something that you can accept. And I remember that revelation. I was like, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. And I asked my parents about it, and they said, yeah, that's how free grace is. So yeah, I think it was at an early age.
I'm gonna let me do one more segment with you. Let me take a quick break.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Thank you.
Back in a moment, folks. So, Pastor Joey, you have all these medical problems going on. You're taking pills, high blood pressure, and all these things happening. Why do you think that? What made you think you have been born again of God?
All right, I guess I don't understand the question.
But I mean, people who are truly born again have returned to the Father. They are now of love, and love is peace and joy and all the good things. Right. Why do you think that having all this, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and you're taking these pills and all that kind of stuff, right? Why didn't all that change once you returned to the Father?
Man, you'll have to take that up with God. I don't know.
Why do you think that you have returned to Him?
Well, I mean, I have a personal relationship with Jesus first and foremost. I mean,
How do you know that?
I'm sorry.
How do you know you do?
I can ask you the same question. We'd get nowhere. I mean, I can't prove to you that I have a personal relationship with Jesus, and you wouldn't be able to prove that to me either. But if we're going to get on a kick about,
But how do you know
bad
you
things,
do? So you can't tell me how do you know? I'm not asking you to prove anything to me. I'm just asking because we're having a conversation. How do you
right?
know you have returned to the Father?
Well, I mean, I just told you though, and I
But
don't
you
think it was a
said
good
you
enough
have
answer, and so it
You
just
said
gets
you
to
have
my
a
point as
personal
far as
relationship.
I
I
don't
don't
think
know.
there's any way I can prove it to you. I have a personal relationship with Christ.
But what does that mean?
Means that a few days ago, I really felt a comfort from Him when I was doubting and when I was having a hard time with something. There's been times where I feel like He's revealed stuff to me that I didn't ask Him to reveal. It was just a gift. There's been times where I've begged for His mercy and help through times of depression, and I feel like He answered. So those everything I just named, I can't prove to you. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to be snarky. I'm just saying
No,
I
I
can't prove
understand
that
that.
stuff to you.
Well, I know that I have because I have perfect peace within and I can see. Whereas
Okay.
before I couldn't see and I didn't have
Right.
peace. And
Okay.
so that's how I know I have. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, but that would fall into the category of you can't prove that to me.
No,
I believe you though.
I wouldn't try.
believe
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't think anyone should ever try to prove that to anyone. Do you support same-sex marriage?
I support leaving the gay community pretty much alone. I would say, I mean, I can hit this on so many different sides. So this is your show, so you stop me when you want.
Do you support same-sex marriage? Give me a yes or no on that.
Do I support same-sex marriage? I mean, you want a yes or no? Gosh. Yes, I'll say yes.
You support
But if you're not going to let me explain, then that's probably an incomplete answer. But I don't mind putting myself out there and saying yes.
You do support it. And why do you support same-sex marriage being a pastor?
Okay. Yeah, good question. Well, first of all, I would say I definitely am at a place to where I believe that same-sex acting on same-sex attraction, where I'm at right now in my faith and my belief, I would say is wrong. But then when you turn to the Bible and you turn to Paul's words, he says very clearly that as Christians, we only have business judging people inside of the church and not people outside of it. So it just frustrates me a lot when, as Christians, we feel like we're the world's ambassadors when it's clear that not all the world believes the same way that we do. So the reason why I would say I support same-sex marriages would be I see that as an act of love to some people that would be outside of the church. But then a lot of people would say, oh, so there's no gay people that are Christians, and I wouldn't say that either.
Let me ask you this. Do you support transgender people, men and women who are confused about who they are? Let's say a man feels like a woman,
Okay.
and he want to use a woman restroom or shower, or a woman who thinks she's a man, she want to use the man restroom or shower or whatever. You support that?
Do I support them?
Do you
Sure, I
support that?
them.
Is it okay for that to happen?
I would say the best solution there is to have an additional option for bathrooms. I mean, I'm surprised we're talking about this, but as far as it being like a danger issue and things like that, I mean, I don't think that increases danger. But honestly, you're asking a lot of questions.
You're not being clear to me. Are you okay with men who think that they're women using the woman's restroom and shower, or women who think they're a man, women who think that they're men using the men's bathroom and shower? Give me a yes or no. Are you okay with that? Is that a yes?
No, I'm not going to give you a yes or no because that's just not my place. I mean, you're talking about things that I can't. Not only can I not relate to.
You're a pastor.
Okay. What? I don't understand your point.
You're supposed to be leading the way.
I mean, you probably see leadership in a very different light than I do.
So you can't tell me if you personally think those things are okay, they should be allowed to happen.
Well, I'm uncomfortable with like you're talking about real people. That's the thing is you're spinning this as issues when there's real people involved in this conversation. I mean, you have real pastors that have committed suicide because they struggle with same sex, and you have kids that that pastor's kid could probably be listening to this podcast and they're like, what in the world are they talking about something so flippantly as something that people really deal with? So
but that's your job,
you're trying to back
give
into
them
a yes or no corner, and these are real people we're talking about. And so I would say that's more pastorally than what you're trying to have me do. I'm not like this guy who's going to make these grand proclamations because I'm on some pastoral high horse. No way. I'm a pastor, so I love people, and part of loving them is not talking about such deeper issues in such a flippant public way. I don't think that's cool.
But why are you judging me as being flippant?
I didn't say you were flippant. I said I'm not going to be. I didn't say you were flippant.
Are you, Pastor? We're out of time. Thank you so much for coming on. That was fun. Will you come back?
I sure will, man. It was fun.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. God bless you.
Hey, you too.
All right. All right, folks. Back in a moment. Let me say to Terry from Alabama and the rest of the callers, we're at the top of this hour. When I come back, I'm coming straight to the phone. Terry, you'll be up first because you waited the long I asked you to wait. I had no idea that interview would go that long with Pastor, what's his name? Joey Svensson. And now I got to wonder, how do you know when you, because there are a lot of men and women now who are carrying the title, wearing the title, pastor, reverend, or whatever, and people go to church because they're looking for some insight as to how to overcome all this stuff, sin and anger and the stuff that they're dealing with. But a pastor like that can't help you. What has happened? And he seemed like a nice guy, so it's not a put down. He could just be confused, but because he seemed like a nice, sincere guy. Very interesting. I hope to have him back. Let me go quickly. The Bible Go-To Guy, I want to respond to the guest just now. Go ahead, Bible Go-To Guy.
Oh, thank you, Jesse. There is different definitions of the word love. And, the Christian community has come around to that. They call the deeper love of God agape, and there's different, I love this, or let's do some love making and all that. So love has many different definitions. So why can't hate and anger have more than one definition? When you correctly point out that there is a righteous anger, that's an anger without that human judgment attached, human feelings.
Right.
And Jesus could have looked around the room with a righteous anger, but not felt anything hard against the people. It's an anger that God has that doesn't feel anything, like you've correctly pointed out for years. And I guess the pastor is just kind of lost in his thoughts about things, and so he doesn't really have the strength of his conviction. To accept homosexuality is a big, red herring about where a pastor really stands with his beliefs.
Well, he didn't accept it, but he did not accept it. He just can't say that it's wrong.
Right. That's the kind of strategy of, let's be Christians, let's love them, let's put up with their sin without correcting them for their sin. And that's not really, that's not the full Christianity. Yes, you're not supposed to be angry at them for their sin, but you're not supposed to just put up with it and say nothing against it, kind of thing.
Yeah, you're supposed to point it out with love. I got to take a break, sir. Thank you so much, all right?
Thank you.
All right. Top of the hour news break. Back in a moment, folks.